Ladies and gentlemen, there is a calling, not a general one, not a vague one, but a divine, appointed, sacred destiny placed upon your life before the foundation of the world. From before the foundations of the world, before the stars were hung in place and the seas were told where to stop, a scroll was written. On it was a name, your name. In the mystery of eternity, the God who dwells outside of time and space already saw you. He knew your beginning, he knew your end. He knew every day you would live, every word you would speak, and every choice you would make. Before your first cry echoed through the hospital walls, the breath of heaven had already spoken your assignment into existence. You are not a mistake. You are not a product of your past. You are not merely the result of human will or bloodline. You are the result of divine intention. You are here because God purposed you to be here. You were not created randomly. You were crafted by the hands of the eternal. And if you were created on purpose, then you were created for a purpose. This is the first and foundational secret to finding your appointed destiny. You must understand that your destiny is not something you create. It is something that has already been written. The world teaches that you must invent your future, chase your dreams, build your own empire. But the truth of the kingdom is different. God does not call you to invent your purpose. He calls you to discover it. And you can only discover something that already exists. Your destiny exists. It is real. It has been assigned, authored, and sealed in the mind and heart of God. It is not floating in confusion. It is not hidden from you as punishment. It is waiting for the appointed time and for your alignment. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, God knew you. He called you. He sanctified you. That means you were not just called randomly. You were set apart for something specific. Your calling is not general. It is personal. And it is not just a spiritual label. It is an assignment from heaven itself. When the prophet Jeremiah was told these words, he was still young, still insecure, still doubting himself. And yet God did not speak to him based on what he felt. He spoke to him based on what had already been decided in eternity. This is crucial. Your feelings about yourself do not define your destiny. Heaven's decree defines your destiny. You may look at your life and see disorder, pain, or failure. You may not understand where you are going or how it will all come together. But your present confusion does not cancel God's eternal clarity. His plan is not shaken by your weakness. He already saw your struggle, your mistakes, your brokenness, and he still wrote the scroll. He still called your name. Your appointed destiny does not depend on your perfection. It depends on your connection to the one who designed it. The enemy will always try to make you forget this truth. He will try to make you believe that you're ordinary, that you're late, that you missed it, that it's too far gone. But you must remember this: what God ordains, he sustains. What God appoints, he equips. Your destiny is not fragile. It is not fading. It is not held together by your strength, but by his word, and his word will not return void. But you must also understand this mystery. Though your destiny is appointed, it is not automatic. The fact that it is written does not mean it will be fulfilled without your response. The scroll may be real, but it must be opened. The calling may be yours, but it must be answered. God will not force you into your purpose. He invites you. He whispers. He knocks, and he waits for your yes. That yes begins with revelation. You must awaken to the reality that you were born for something more than survival, more than comfort, more than the applause of men. You were born to fulfill a divine assignment in a divine time for a divine purpose. And the moment you realize this, everything begins to change. You no longer live by chance, you live by calling. You no longer wander, you begin to seek. And the one who seeks finds. God does not reveal destiny all at once. He reveals it step by step as you walk with him. The journey of discovering your calling is the journey of walking with the caller. The closer you draw to his presence, the clearer you begin to hear his voice. Destiny is not a thing to chase, it is a direction to walk in. It is not found in the noise of the world, but in the stillness of his presence. In the secret place, the whispers become words, and the words become fire. Your gifts, your pain, your passions, your story, they are not random. They are part of the design. God uses every thread. He wastes nothing. Even the detours and the dark nights are part of the preparation. He wastes nothing. Even the detours and the dark nights are part of the preparation. You may feel disqualified, but remember, Moses was a stutterer, David was a shepherd, Ruth was a foreigner, Paul was a persecutor, and yet each one found their appointed purpose because they responded to the divine invitation. You too are invited. So do not compare your life to anyone else. You are not called to live their destiny, you are called to live yours. Your fingerprint is unique, your purpose is unique, and God has not forgotten it, not even for a moment. You may have taken wrong turns, you may have fallen, but the scroll is still intact. The plan is still alive. The God who calls is also the God who redeems, restores, and realigns. Now is the time, not tomorrow, not one day. Now, today is the day to seek the Lord with all your heart, to surrender your own way, and to begin the journey of walking into what has already been written. Here, walk in, celebrate, and tune into the energy of your heart, to surrender your own way, and to begin the journey of what has already been written. Your appointed destiny is not lost. It is waiting for your yes, your obedience, your hunger, and your faith. There is a mystery in the walk of destiny, a secret not known to the world and too often forgotten by the children of God. It is this: destiny does not begin with action, ambition, or strength. It begins with surrender. This truth is contrary to the wisdom of this age. The world tells you to push, to chase, to build your own tower and climb to the top. But the kingdom of God works in the opposite spirit. In the kingdom, the highest place is reached by bowing low. The path forward begins when you lay yourself down. The secret to your appointed destiny is not in holding tightly, but in releasing completely. What you try to keep, you will lose. But what you place into his hands, you will find again. Redeemed, renewed, and repurposed. Many are searching for the will of God, crying out to know their purpose, but refusing to let go of the control they cling to. And that's not love, that's bounty. Will this be possible for you? Will this be fit? Will this be purpose? Many are searching for the will of God, crying out to know their purpose, but refusing to let go of the control they cling to. Yet God will not reveal the fullness of his purpose until we are willing to surrender our own. Just as a vessel cannot be filled until it is emptied, the soul cannot be filled with divine purpose until it has been emptied of self. Surrender is not weakness. In the world's eyes, it may look like giving up, but in the Spirit, surrender is power, because it is the point where your finite ability ends and his infinite power begins. This is why so many struggle to find their calling. They are trying to mix the plans of God with the desires of self. But the plans of man and the purposes of God cannot share the same altar. Only one can be offered as a sacrifice. If you wish to walk in the destiny God has prepared for you, then you must bring your will to the altar and lay it down. Abraham did not find his purpose while holding on to Ur of the Chaldees. He had to leave it. He had to leave the familiar, the secure, the predictable. Only then did the journey of purpose begin. The same is true for you. What is it you must leave behind? What is the Ur in your life? The place of comfort, convenience, or compromise? What is the plan you hold tightly in your own heart? What dream are you clinging to that might not be God's? Understand this: Not every good idea is a God idea. Your greatest ambitions may still fall short of his smallest plan. His thoughts are higher than your thoughts. His ways are greater than your ways. But until you let go of what is in your hand, he cannot give you what is in his. Consider the Garden of Gethsemane. The Son of God himself, the Word made flesh, bowed low in the dirt and prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." If even the sinless, perfect Son had to surrender, how much more must we? That moment was not just a prayer. It was the turning point of history. From that place of surrender, salvation flowed. And from your place of surrender, your calling will begin to flow. If destiny begins in surrender, then surrender must become your posture, not once, but daily. This is not a one-time event, but a continual decision to lay your life down and pick up the cross. This is why Jesus said, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me." He did not say, take up your dreams or follow your own heart. He said, follow me. And you cannot follow if you are leading. You cannot yield to his Spirit if you are still fighting for your own will. Surrender is the point of transformation. When Moses surrendered his fear and insecurity, God used him to deliver a nation. When Esther surrendered her comfort, she stepped into a royal purpose that saved her people. When Paul surrendered his pride and his position, he became the apostle to the nations. What they gave up in the flesh, they gained in the spirit. And what they left behind in the natural, God replaced with eternal fruit. This principle remains true today. You may think surrender means loss, but in truth, surrender is the gateway to gain. You may fear giving up your plan, but what God has for you is greater than anything you could imagine. Greater than anything you could imagine. He is not trying to take something from you. He is trying to give something to you. But he cannot give you the greater until you release the lesser. He will not share your heart with idols. He will not pour new wine into old wineskins. There is another layer to surrender. It is the letting go of timing. Many know what God has spoken, but they try to force the promise before the time. But a true surrender means you don't just trust what God said, you trust when he says it will happen. The time Abraham had to wait, Joseph had to wait, David had to wait. Each of them was given a divine promise, but before the fulfillment came the surrender of time, of control, of understanding. You may feel hidden, you may feel delayed, but know this: the waiting is not wasted. It is doing something in you that the fulfillment never could. And your destiny will be born not just from what you do, but from how well you yield. So let this be your prayer, not just once, but every day. Lord, not my will, but yours. Not my dream, but your plan. Not my way, but your path. Let him be the potter. You are the clay. Let him break what needs to be broken. Let him mold what needs to be shaped. Let him lead where you would not have chosen to go, and you will find yourself in places you could never have imagined. This is the great paradox of the kingdom. The world tells you to fight for your future. Heaven tells you to lay it down. The world says, chase success. God says, seek me. The world says, believe in yourself. God says, deny yourself. And yet it is in this very surrender that you will find the highest fulfillment. Because in losing your life, you will find it. In dying to self, you will rise in spirit. And in giving everything to him, you will receive everything that matters. So surrender, not because you're weak, but because you trust. Surrender, not to give up, but to go higher. Surrender, because the King has written your name, and he is waiting for your yes. And when that yes becomes your lifestyle, you will not just walk toward your destiny, you will walk in it. There is a law in the kingdom of God that few understand, and yet it governs the unfolding of every destiny. God does not reveal your entire purpose all at once. He speaks in steps. He leads in stages. He calls, and then he waits for you to answer. not with understanding, but with obedience. In the world, people want to see the full map before they take the first step. But in the ways of God, you move not by sight, but by faith. And every step of obedience you take becomes the key that unlocks the next chapter of your destiny. This is where many grow weary or frustrated. They want the full picture, the complete plan, the 5-year vision. But God doesn't work like that. He is the God of Abraham, and to Abraham he gave no map, only a voice. He said, "Go to a land I will show you." Not the land I am showing you, but I will show you. Meaning, first you move, then you see. First you obey, then you understand. First you walk, then the door opens. This is the great mystery of divine calling. It is revealed through obedience. You will not discover your purpose by standing still, waiting for all the answers. You discover it by walking in trust, even when the path is not yet clear. God speaks in commands, and your destiny is found in how you respond. When he says forgive, and you obey, something is unlocked. When he says go, and you take the risk, the next step is revealed. When he says stay, and you choose patience over movement, you are formed in the waiting. These moments may seem small, but in the kingdom, small steps lead to great doors. Too often, people despise the small steps. They want the grand mission, the stage, the breakthrough. But destiny is not built in a moment. It is built in the hidden, in the daily, in the unseen acts of faithfulness. The Bible says, "He who is faithful in little will be trusted with much." That means your response to the small instructions determines your access to the larger assignments. If you will not follow him when no one is watching, you will not be trusted when the world is looking. The foundation of every great purpose is built in silence, in obscurity, in the daily rhythm of obedience. Think of Joseph. He had a dream from God, an image of rulership, of divine elevation. But before he ever sat in Pharaoh's courts, he was faithful in Potiphar's house. Before he wore the robe of leadership, he wore the chains of slavery. And even there, in that dark place, he chose to walk in integrity. He chose obedience in a land of disappointment. And because of that, destiny kept unfolding. Prison became promotion. Delay became development. And what was meant for evil, God turned for good. In your life, obedience may not always feel like progress. In fact, it may feel like you're moving backward. But in the Spirit, every obedient step is a seed, and the Lord of the harvest watches over every seed you plant. He watches when you choose holiness over compromise. He sees when you say yes to him instead of your flesh. He takes note when you serve quietly, pray faithfully, and give generously, even when no one else sees. Heaven writes down those steps. Heaven remembers. There are moments when God will ask you to do things that don't make sense. He told Noah to build an ark in a world that had never seen rain. And he told Joshua to march around a wall instead of attacking it. He told Peter to cast his net on the other side after a night of failure. And in every one of those moments, breakthrough was waiting on the other side of obedience. Not because the act itself was powerful, but because obedience releases the hand of God. This is a divine principle. When you act in faith, heaven moves. The Red Sea did not part until Moses lifted the staff. The Jordan River did not split until the priests stepped into the water. The provision didn't come until the widow gave her last oil. And so it is with you. The next part of your destiny is often hidden until you take the next step. The question is not, what is God's plan for the next 10 years? The real question is, what is God asking of you today? Your obedience today creates your destiny tomorrow. And the longer you delay in obeying, the longer the next door remains closed. God is not waiting to punish. He is waiting for partnership. He desires to work with you, but he will not force your steps. He invites, he calls, and then he watches. Every time you choose his way over your own, you draw closer to what you were born for. But let us not forget, obedience is not always comfortable. It may cost you friends, and it may cost you opportunities, it may cost you your pride, but it will never cost you your purpose. The reward of obedience is not comfort, it is closeness to God. And with that closeness, your true identity begins to emerge. You stop living for approval and begin living from alignment. You no longer seek validation from men because your soul is anchored in obedience to the Father. Some of you have been asking God to show you your future, and he is responding by asking you to obey him in your present. What did he tell you to do last? Go back to that word. Return to that instruction. Was it to forgive someone? Was it to take a risk? Was it to break off a compromise? Until you obey the last instruction, the next one may remain hidden. He is a wise father. He doesn't give you the second step until you obey the first. He doesn't reveal mysteries to those who won't act on what's already been revealed. So take heart. Your destiny is not buried or unreachable. It is close, closer than you realize. It is one act of obedience away. When you move, heaven moves. When you obey, his plan unfolds. When you surrender your will and walk in his word, you will find yourself being led, step by step, into the very purpose for which you were born. Not because you chased destiny, but because you chased him. And that, in the end, is the deepest secret. Your destiny is not a destination. It is a daily walk with the one who called you. Walk with him, trust him, obey him, and your destiny will come looking for you. There is a mystery in the way of destiny that most people do not recognize, and because of it, many turn back too soon. It is the truth that the path to your appointed destiny will not always look like progress. In fact, at times, it will appear as the opposite. You will walk through valleys, wildernesses, storms, delays, disappointments, and closed doors. You will question the journey. You may even question the promise. But this is not failure. This is the preparation. And it is written into the fabric of every God-ordained calling. Before you arrive in the place of fulfillment, you must walk through the place of refining. Before the promise is birthed, something within you must die. Your pride, your reliance on the flesh, your need for control, your attachment to what is comfortable. These things cannot survive where God is taking you. Your appointed destiny is a holy place, and holy ground requires holy vessels. God is not only interested in what you do, he is equally invested in who you become. The delay you face is not God withholding your purpose, it is God forming you for it. The pressure, the silence, the unanswered prayers, the closed doors, none of it is wasted. Every trial is a tool, every burden is a chisel, every fire is a purifier. And the very things you are asking God to remove may be the very things he is using to shape you into the person who can carry the calling. Look through the scriptures. Not one man or woman walked into their divine assignment without first walking through divine refinement. Joseph had to pass through betrayal, slavery, and prison before stepping into the palace. David was anointed king but sent back to tend sheep. Then he spent years running from Saul in caves and wildernesses. Moses was raised in a palace only to spend 40 years in the desert tending flocks. Paul encountered the risen Christ, but then was taken into years of obscurity and isolation before his mission unfolded. Even Yeshua, the Son of God, was led by the Spirit into the wilderness before he ever stepped into public ministry. This is not coincidence. This is pattern. This is process. You are not the exception to the pattern. If you are walking through seasons that feel dry, slow, hidden, or painful, it does not mean you are far from your destiny. It may mean you are closer than you think. because what feels like silence is often a sign that the potter is at work. He does his best shaping in the hidden places. He forms you when no one sees. He purifies the motives, removes the pride, strengthens the foundation. The times when you feel unseen are often the times he is most present, working not around you, but within you. The problem is that many give up in the middle of the process. They misunderstand the wilderness. They think the storm means they've taken a wrong turn. But sometimes the storm is a sign that you're on the right path. Sometimes the struggle is confirmation, not contradiction. The enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. If you're in a battle, it may be because your breakthrough is near. If you're being resisted, it may be because you're stepping into the territory God promised you. But the preparation is not easy. It will test your faith. It will stretch your patience. It will expose the places in your heart that still need healing. It will force you to choose. Will you trust the promise when the path doesn't make sense? Will you remain faithful when nothing around you changes? Will you continue to walk when your emotions scream to sit down? These are the questions of destiny. Not how gifted you are, not how famous you become, but how deep your roots go when the winds of delay blow against your soul. God is not in a hurry. He is eternal. He sees what you cannot. He knows what lies ahead, and he knows what must be built inside of you so that when you reach your destiny, you do not fall. The blessing that comes too soon can destroy the one who receives it, but the blessing that comes after the refining will elevate and sustain. This is why he does not just hand out promises. He builds people who can carry them. If you skip the process, you weaken the foundation. If you run from the fire, you lose the purification. If you reject the pruning, you forfeit the fruit. The waiting is not wasted. The delay is not a denial. It is preparation. It is mercy. It is love. It is the hand of a father who sees farther than you can see and loves you too much to give you what you're not ready for. So embrace the season you are in. Ask not only, when will I arrive, but what are you teaching me here, Lord? Ask not, how can I get out, but how can I grow through this? The season you want to escape may be the very season that is shaping you for what you were born to do. God wastes nothing. Every tear, every setback, every unanswered question, it all becomes part of the testimony. He turns pain into power. He turns delays into divine appointments. And when the time is right, when the refining is complete, when the preparation has done its work, you will step into your appointed place. And it will be not only a fulfillment, but a vindication. People will see what God always saw. You will walk into rooms where doors had once been shut. You will speak into lives with the authority of someone who has walked through fire and come out refined. You will carry a weight of glory that can only come through endurance. So do not curse the process, bless it. Do not despise the season of breaking, embrace it. Do not fight the wilderness, walk through it, because every step through it brings you closer to the land of promise. And when you arrive, you will not be the same. You will not be who you were. You will be who God always intended you to be, a vessel, tested, trusted, and ready to fulfill the purpose that has been waiting for you since before you were born. You may not understand it all now. You don't have to. You just have to trust the one who wrote your story. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep yielding. Your destiny is not just being delayed, it's being built.